Okay, what's important about the cryosphere? I would say that we used to think that the cryosphere was important for those that were living close or nearby the cryosphere. But now we are understanding that it's much more than that. And it's not only important for those that living in the surrounding areas, but for all the world. And we had very nice activities in WMO during this year, and bringing the testimony from those living in small island developing states, for example, and where they were quite aware that cryosphere is a central topic for them, although they live in a tropical country. And that is quite meaningful, because they realize that because of the melting of glaciers, because of all the impact we see at the ice sheets all over the place, they are suffering. So it's about the system, very, very sensitive system to what is happening with the temperature, of course, but it's also about the impacts that are downscaling to many other places far away from the cryosphere. And that's, I would say, the main context where WMO cares about the cryosphere. It's not new. It's not new, our concern with the cryosphere. It's old, and you know, and because you've been working with us, that it's a very legitimate concern in terms of how we improve the observing system of the cryosphere, because usually these are places difficult to access. So we've been engaging with that topic for quite a while, but certainly it's becoming more and more urgent.
Are there in particular, I mean, seen from your perspective, the global perspective, are there any particular knowledge gaps, some black boxes we really need to understand from the Arctic to understand how it affects the global systems?
Certainly, there are areas where we don't know. Essentially, for example, when glaciers are melting or the cryosphere is on how the permafrost, for example, reacts to this warming world, it's not so clear. Those are one of the topics that scientists are more concerned about because it's new. We don't have enough observations to, as you know, science-driven organizations, science-driven services. We need observations to put knowledge in place and then to revise, revisit, and understand what is happening, what are the processes that are taking place. And so there are many black spots around the cryosphere. So we need more understanding, because otherwise we will not be able to put policies in place that are adequate for the phenomena that we are experiencing. We see the results, but the results are not really well understood. And I think that we need to put much more effort into the cryosphere processes, observing systems, and impacts.
Opposite of Antarctica, Arctic is an area where there's people living, like you have all the local communities, all the indigenous people living in there. Mm-hmm. Is there any way those can kind of feed into your observations and into the observation?
Definitely, indigenous people or people that are already are living in those environments have a lot to say here. And for us, it's very important to have their knowledge in place and gather their experiences for the benefit of our decision making. It's not for nothing that they have been able to live in this hostile environment, hostile from my perspective, coming from Buenos Aires. I cannot even imagine how could be living in those areas, but still we have populations that have managed to survive in this environment. So I think that they must be part of the decision making. They must be part also of the knowledge sharing, and we need to know their experiences to better adapt to what is happening already in the Arctic areas.
Thank you. I guess we both share the urge to keep the Arctic and the rest of the world viable for all of those people.
Certainly, it's about the planet, it's the Arctic, it's the Antarctic, are the oceans, it's everything. The planet is only one, it has a delicate equilibrium, and we have to work to keep that equilibrium ongoing.